Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Okay, so this is the second round draw for the 29th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game. In this round, we have 21 people left in it. Just quickly run through those names so we remind ourselves who's still competing in some form or another for the title of the Tapology's Luckiest Bastard, I guess, and however much honour comes with that. Right, we have A, or A love miles off an AZ. We just call him A. It's more try and be informal around here. Calfoth, Canhaga Ruiz, Captain Quebec, C. Collins 44, Cheeseball, Cool Hand Puke, Damien Handel 420, El Guapo, Foghorn Sam, Geneva 65, who's making his debut in this game, survived his first ever round. Let's see who'll survive another round. Jack Soto, KK Kombu, Cushy Cake, Piggy Bank, Rigno, Shat, Cian Six, Tyson Magamenov, the MMA historian, and our alliance, or one of them anyway, Uber Industry, have made it through to the second round as well. Completes the lineup. And for this week, we have UFC Fight Night. Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. And again, it seems to be a bit of a bit of a thing now. It's always a headline event is an established name like Gilbert Burns up against an up and coming prospect like Michael Morales. And I've kind of gone back and forth on this one a few times because Michael Morales as a prospect is a really good one. 17 and 0. He's looked incredible so far in the UFC, finishing most of the opponents he's faced. Um, I think he's certainly going to give Burns some problems, but at the end of the day, it's I still rate Gilbert Burns as one of maybe not one of the top contenders for the title or anything like that, but definitely a solid gatekeeper for the welterweights. And it's just his experience because he's faced pretty much everyone in his in his run in the UFC in the welterweight division. Obviously, he got beaten the last few times, but again, they're all his last three losses against Sean Brady, Jack Della Maddalena, who's obviously now the champion, and Bilal Muhammad, who until last week was the champion. Um, so those are against the guys still at the very top of the division. So there's no shame in losing to those guys at all. Um, and then going back through his records, I mean, okay, it's a little bit outdated by a few years now with the likes of Jorge Masvidal and Tyrone Woodley on it, but he's he's still got that experience, and he's not. Or at least I like to think he isn't too washed. Sooner or later, it will come to the stage where he does lose to prospects like Morales, but for now, I think he's still good enough to give Morales his first defeat of his career, and so I've gone with a Gilbert Burns decision win. Nothing else, more experienced in 5 round fights as well. So that'd be a huge thing for him. But anyway, you're not here to listen to me rambling about my predictions. You're here to see who you're getting drawn with in the Lucky Bastard game. And first up is A. So let's see who A is getting drawn with. Just quickly check we are actually still, yep, sharing the right screen because there'd be a waste of everyone's time if it weren't. Right. So it's A up first. Let's see who he gets paired with. And it's Gabe Green for A there. It's Gabe Green. And, starts us off. And one of the fighters I've picked have got him to win by decision against the debutant, Matheus Camilo. And it's, again, quite a close one. And I think Camilo is actually the favourite for this. But as I was saying about experiences, Camilo's looked good so far, but Green's just got more fights under his belt and his UFC ones as that. It's five UFC fights in total. Not the prettiest records, admittedly, two and three. But he's still got that experience of oh, he's already made the jump up, and he's already proved on a couple of times he can hang with the guys in the UFC. We simply haven't seen that from Camilo. Um, Camilo, to be fair to him, is from what I have seen of him outside of the UFC, he's fairly well rounded. He's got a good mix of KOs and sub wins on his record, so I can see why he's the favorite for this. Um, but again, maybe I overrate how much of a factor experience is, and sometimes I do, but he's certainly in with a good shout, in my opinion, Gabe Green. Or at least I think it's a 50-50 one, really. But I mean, on paper, but I'd say I've got him slightly better. I'd say it's probably more like 60-40 for Green, in my opinion. But anyway, so it's not too bad. Definitely could have been worse. Right. We have Kalfoth next to learn his fate in the wheel. Just coincidentally, all the ones beginning with B have gone out of this game already. So yeah, straight on to A to C is Kalfoth. And ironically, everybody beginning with C is also still in it. That's interesting. Anyway, Kalfoth first. Let's see who he gets paired with. Yep. There we go. And we've already got our first double up. Gabe Green again. So straight away we have Gabe Green. Yeah, so not a lot I can say other than what I've just rambled on about. I'll say slightly more experienced. Also, one thing I didn't mention the last time was holding back in case he came up again later in the video. Wasn't expecting it to be this soon, but obviously he's had three fights in Bellator as well. So that could be again, that's not quite UFC level, but it's slightly better than regional level. Or at least in my opinion it was anyway. Maybe towards the end of its run, not so much, but yeah, not really much else I can add on to that, is there? Other than that I think he's got a better shout than a lot of people are giving him a chance for. Um, but he's technically the underdog, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. But both A and Calfoth riding on the Gabe Green hype train. Okay, so we move on to Canhego Ariz. Let's see who Canhego Ariz is paired with. And he gets Melquizael Costa. Melquizael Costa is for Canhego Ariz. And I've got him to win by decision as well. I think for most of the people, you're going to hear that phrase a lot because I got most of the people on this card to win by decision. I don't know whether I'm just feeling uninspired when I made those picks or whether I'm just underrating everyone. But yeah, I don't know. But anyways, maybe I should reevaluate my picks and put a bit more action in it. But in any case, I've picked Costa to win by decision anyway. Um, Interesting fight against Julian Erosa. Both fighters on a three-fight win streak. Um, Obviously, Costa's main strength is on the ground, so his submission game. Um, so that's obviously the most likely way. Um, as for why I've not gone with him to win by submission, simply because Julian Erosa, absolute veteran of the sports, and 31 wins and 11 losses. And having said that, Costa's got 30 fights under his belt as well, 23 and 7. So there's only about 12 more fights in it. But I think Heroes has just been at the higher level for longer, and I don't think that's going to be enough to beat Costa, but I think it's definitely going to be enough to at least fend off his submission attempts. And Costa has proved on a few occasions that he is happy to be patient and uh, win on points. So obviously he's always looking for the opportunity to finish, but he's has proven he can and will go the distance. So I think it should be a fairly comfortable decision win, or maybe find a finish. But I think decisions maybe slightly more likely. But in any case, it doesn't matter as long as he wins. Then can Hager Ariz be happy with it, and he'll go through. Um, that is, of course, unless Julian Erosa has other plans. Okay, Captain Quebec next to face the wheel. Let's see, give the wheel a spin for Captain Quebec. And he gets a Yadia Del Valle. Probably haven't pronounced that right, but Yadia, how are we even spelling that one? Del Valle. Del Valle, like Del Boy. Uh, Del Valle. Del Boy, but with a slight bit of a Frenchy twist to it, I guess. I don't know. But in my opinion, probably the one I'm most confident in on the card. Certainly the one I've uh, gone with all in on the wagering league on here. Shout out to Trig, by the way, for running that thing. That's a very fun game. We all appreciate your efforts in that. I know I certainly wouldn't be bothered to keep track of all those bets. Um, but anyway, so yeah, thanks for that, and all appreciate that. And as for DeVale, 8-0. You already seen him once in the UFC, won it by decision. He spent most of his career in Fury FC, where he won quite a lot of decisions as well. But he does have a couple of KO and sub wins on his record. So he's looking good so far. Getting the rounds in as well, and when you're still, I'd say, under 10 fights, you need that as a good sign to see someone go the distance and not when they're still that early in their career, getting that experience. Still very impressive and all great, blasting away your opponents nice and quickly, but they're not showing you those little tricks and little things that you just don't really get in. Well, I mean, you should get them in good sparring, obviously, but I mean, it's you don't really, that combined with the pressure of an actual fight. It's the sort of things you just can't learn in a training camp. You just got to. So it goes back to the old phrase: practice is useful, but it's no substitute for experience. But in any case, I think Duval's going to be ready for this one against Conor Matthews, who, to be honest, I can't see him as anything more than a sacrificial lamb in this one. He's got good submissions on him, and there's a chance he might be able to lock one in on Del Valle. I've seen that plenty of times before, but both of those UFC wins, he's looked pretty poor in. He's been knocked out in both of them. Um, yeah, it's just it probably because DeVale goes the distance so much is the only reason I've picked him for a decision. But I wouldn't say it's even impossible for him to potentially knock out Conor Matthews here. So in any case, I certainly can't see Matthews getting a win, and I think that's an almost certain pick to go through to the third round for Captain K-Back. If DeVale comes up, or Delvale rather comes up again, I'm sure you'll hear me repeat that sentiment. Right. Okay, so we move on to C. Collins 44. Let's see who C. Collins 44 gets drawn with. And he gets paired with Nursultan Ruziboev. Nursultan Ruziboev there for C. Collins 44. Obviously, he's up against Dustin Stolitsfus, which I know full well I've not pronounced that one right, so apologies for butchering that one. Um, and Ruziboev just got a ton of experience going for him. I was surprised to learn he was only 31, because there's not many 31-year-olds with a record of 35, 9, and 2. Um, so what's that total of that's 46 fights. 46 fights in 31 years. That's incredible level of activity he's got going for him. already 3-1 in the UFC, and he's shown over the time he's been win by both knockout and submission. So I think, and truthfully, I think he could. I think you can pretty much choose how he wins this one. This is another fighter I'm extremely confident in. As for Dustin, he's not bad, but he's inconsistent. He KO'd Mark Andre Barriault in his last fight, so maybe that would be a springboard for him to get onto better things. But I, I can't see him turning it around against Ruziboev. Um, so of his last couple of losses, both of them have been by knockout as well. So, and with Ruziboev, who's more than capable of finding a knockout, I've gone with him for a second round knockout. But as for what that means for the game, it means that I'm very confident that C. Collins 44 will also be going through to the next round. Okay, so we move on to Cheeseball now. Let's see who Cheeseball is going to be hoping wins tomorrow night. He'll be hoping Jared Gordon gets the win. Jared Gordon there for Cheeseball. And there's another real 50-50 fight in my opinion against Thiago Moises. I've mentioned it. Any long term watchers of this, or well, not this channel because I've blown through half a load of different YouTube channels because I keep locking myself out of them. Um, but anyone that's been in this game knows that I'm quite a big fan of Thiago Moises. I enjoy his style of fighting, and I have gone with him for decision win for this, but it's that's mostly just based on well, I'll admit bias. I'm not going to try and disguise it as anything else, but also is outside of MMA, so got a ton of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience in other competitions outside of the UFC, outside of the MMA sphere. Well, still under the umbrella of MMA, I guess, but in combat sports, that's the term I'm looking for, really, isn't it? Um, I think he's definitely going to win the ground exchanges, no doubt about that. If Gordon can keep it standing, I can see him winning that as well. So it's yeah, a very close fight. You're in a real 50-50 one there, Cheeseball. Um, so yeah, best of luck with that one. Let's see if Jared Gordon comes in for you. Okay, so next we move on to Cool Hands Puke. Let's see who he's going to be, who his metaphorical dance partner is going to be for tomorrow night. Right on the line, but the wheel says that's Mayron Santos. Mayron Santos there for Cool Hand Puke. So in the third one down from the top, here we are, and against Sadiq Youssef and that lightweight contest, and I've gone with Youssef for a decision win, and maybe maybe not the wisest choice because he's on a two fight losing. Youssef is on the 2 fight losing streak. 'Cause I suppose I should probably start by talking about the one that actually got drawn, Santos. But I think with Youssef, he's his last couple of losses anyway. They've been against Diego Lopez, recently challenged for the featherweight title, and Edson Barboza as well. But again, they've been at the top end of the featherweight division, but the main thing is he's moving up to lightweight for this one. He has fought at lightweight before, but not since his regional days, not since 2017. So it'll be interesting to see if he's more comfortable at that weight, whether he's looks a bit more revitalized, but he should be stronger at 155 rather than 145. Um, how will Marion Santos fare with that? I don't know. It's so hard to judge the ones where they move up a weight because you just um it's got Santos is coming in with all right, fairly decent form. He's coming off a win. It was a split decision against Francis Marshall. Probably have to watch that one back, but to be sure of whether how good he looks in that one. But he's also fought in the LFA and the Ultimate Fighter before. But he is going to win, probably by KO or a decision. But again, they're not really things. If Yusuf does look better at lightweight, his chin's gonna be better, so it's gonna be less likely that he gets KOs. Um, you'd think that his stamina would also be better as well because he wouldn't have had to have drained himself so much in the weight cut. So Yusuf and he had no trouble going the distance at featherweight, so I don't see why that'd be any different to lightweight. So yeah, I can see Yusuf getting this one by decision. So yeah, that's an interesting one to keep an eye on, really. For me, that fight will just be determined by the change in weight class for Yusuf. Um, so I suppose a bit of a wild card pick that one, isn't it? It's for Cool Hand Puke. Anyway, best of luck with it. Right, we move on to the Duck, not John Jones, Damien Handel 420, the real Duck. It's well, John Jones is the real fucking Duck. Let's be honest. But anyway, I'll see how many with John Jones digs I can squeeze in. But no, anyway, enough of that. Let's just see who he gets paired with. Damien Handel 420. Let's see. Oh, getting close, but again, that's another one on the Gabe Green hype train. Um, so that's three of them now. A Kalfoff and Damien Handel, all on Gabe Green, and yeah, as I've mentioned, is the slightly more experienced in that of the two in that fight against Matthias Camilo. Um, Still making his debut, and again, yeah, I don't have a lot of. He looks good so far, but there's nothing for me to say that he's going to be any better than any of the other prospects. There's not been anything that makes me think, oh yeah, no, this debutant's going to be on something special. He's looked good. Let's just see if he can make the jump up to the UFC. Whereas Gabe Green has kind of already proved himself a little bit in the UFC. He's definitely room for improvement. Otherwise, he will end up getting cut sooner or later. But um, he should be able to cut it against someone making their debut in the UFC. I think so. I think that's again. I think fairly fairly good chance. Slightly better than the 50-50 one that a lot of people make it out to be. Oh, it's not. I think it's a slight underdog actually. But anyway, so three on the Gabe Green hype train anyway. So move on now to El Guapo. Let's see who El Guapo, who everyone's favorite running commentator in this game. Appreciate that commitment. Uh, and you get drawn with Macias Camilo, the other side of that draw. So that is Macias. I don't never know how to spell these fancy names. Camilo. Sounds like I should have an accent or something, doesn't it? Right. Okay. So as well as being three on Gabe Green, we also have an opponent for them in the name of El Guapo. Um, so obviously everything I've just said about Camilo, uh, El Guapo's going to be hoping is a right load of bollocks. I I mean, to play devil's advocate, I suppose UFC debut, he's going to be hungry. He's going to be probably where he is hungry, given how much UFC pays those guys. But he's going to be motivated for this. He want to make an impression. So that sort of light a fire up his arse a little bit. Um, maybe that will maybe that, in a fight, I think it's going to be close. Maybe that'll be enough. Who knows to swing it in his favor, but we shall see anyway. So 3v1 there at the moment, and we're probably not even halfway through this the list of players just yet. How many you got? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 21. Yeah, no, still not even halfway through, and we've already got four people on that fight. No doubt we'll probably have a couple more join by the end of it at this rate. Okay, so Foghorn Sam is next to learn his fate at the hands of the wheel, and he gets Connor Matthews. Connor Matthews there for Foghorn Sam, who yeah, that's not a great one really, given what I said about him earlier. Described him as a sacrificial lamb, and I can't see it as anything other than that for just being lost his first two by knockout in the UFC, and now he's being paired against an Ace and O guy. It doesn't bode well for him, does it? Um, maybe an Ace and O guy that the UFC would like to get a knockout win on his record, given how many times he's gone the distance, and he's certainly capable of that. But in any case, I can't see Yada DeVale losing anyway. But yeah, Foghorn Sam's going to need a lot of luck, in my opinion. But on the light side, anyway, at least it'd be an interesting battle between him and Captain Quebec, who's got Yadir Delvale. So another head-to-head there, anyway. But that's probably the first one in this video where I've like actually, yeah, and you kind of screwed there, aren't you? But maybe wrong. Stranger things have happened in the sport, and best of luck to you. I just think the wheels just decided it's just not your night tonight. Okay, so we've got Geneva 65, who first ever game made it through his first round. Let's see if he can make it to the third round in his first ever game. Best of luck for that, and let's see who Geneva 65 gets drawn with. And he gets drawn with Tisha Pennington. Tisha Pennington to uh for Geneva 65. I keep thinking she's Tasha Torres, but then she got married, didn't she? It's going to take me a while to get used to that one. Um, yeah, like my combat sports, a little bit of romance on the side. Why not? All fairs in love and war and all that. Right. Anyway, she's opening the card with Luana Pinheiro, a strawweight fight, and I've gone with Pennington for a decision simply because there's more experienced and quite frankly, he's fought at a higher level for longer. Her last fight was against Carla Esparza, which she won by decision. Uh, Esparza, of course, believe she's now retired. We know what retirement's like in this sport, but still, former strawweight champion. Um, and that wasn't very long ago. That was only, what was it, a couple of years ago when she had that amazing fight against Rose Namajunas. That was an absolute barn burner. Edge of my seat stuff that was. Um, but in any case, Luana Pinheiro just not beating those kind of fighters, and in fact, she hasn't. When she's been tested against the more familiar names in the strawweight division, like Gillian Robertson, Angela Hill, and Amanda Ribas specifically, it's caused her to go on a three-fight losing streak, which she's currently riding on. So, yeah, Tasha Pennington gets this all day long, in my opinion. So, I think Geneva 65 is getting through to a third round in his first ever go at this. So well done. Well, I mean, it's not too much credit to be attributed there, is it? Given a game of luck, but certainly on the right track to become the lucky bastard game champion on your debut. That'd be something, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's let's move on now to Jack Soto. Let's see, Jack Soto's going to be paired with, and he's kind of fucked. Let's be honest. Luana Pinheiro there for Jack Soto, who gets the opponents of Geneva 65 with Tasha Pennington. Um, Will's giving us a lot of double ups and head to heads today. Makes it interesting. But yeah, quite simply, as I mentioned, Luana Pinheiro's on that losing streak against Robertson, Hill, and Rebus, and I can't see her snapping it against Tasha Pennington. And it'd be a massive surprise if it was. That'd be a real shock to open the card, wouldn't it? But I just can't see it happening. Um, quite simply, Tasha Pennington is just better, more experienced, and a better fighter, but more well-rounded, fought at a higher level. I can't see any metric I can really give Pinheiro in this fight over Pennington. Anyway, I suppose just the only way I can play devil's advocate with this one is just to say that well, women's MMA can be extremely unpredictable. MMA in general is a very unpredictable sport, so I think Jack Soto is going to be hoping for a bit of an upset there. He certainly needs one. But Geneva 65 versus Jack Soto there, everybody. So see how that one plays out. Won't have to wait too long to find out. First one on the card. KK Kombu next to discover who awaits him in the octagon tomorrow. Oh dear, dear, oh dear. Oh, the wheel is taking no prisoners and giving even fewer fucks tonight. Luana Pinheiro there again for KK Kombus. That is Geneva 65 with Tasha Pennington against Jack Soto and KK Kombu with Luana Pinheiro in that yeah, the underdog in that fight, definitely. Yeah, no, like I can say, I've just bashed her three times in a row. I've got to show some mercy to her, haven't I? Yeah, I think yeah, same boat as Jack Soto, just needs a lot of luck. Right. Um, that was a bit mean from the wheel, wasn't it? The wheel was just being a bit of a cunt there. Um, that was just not nice to give him one of the in my opinion one of the least likely to win twice in a row like that. It's not nice. I mean, he was generous last time. He only knocked like 40% out of you, so suppose he's got to reclaim a few scalps in the second round, make up for it, save face a bit. Or is it a she? I don't know. Maybe, or genderless. I don't know. Can't assume nothing these days. Right. So we move on to Cushy Cake now. Let's see who Cushy Cake gets drawn with. And he gets our one of the main eventers, the prospects in the main event, the undefeated Michael Morales. Um, Michael Morales there for Cushy Cake. And in terms, even though I disagree with it personally, he has definitely got the bookmaker's favour. I think Morales was like 1 to 5 or some bullshit like that. I know Gilbert Burns was 5 to 1 to win when I checked the odds earlier. Probably should have put a quid on it, but yeah, I didn't because I'm a fucking pussy. Um, anyway, Michael Morales. If the script is anything to go by, he should be the or the conventional script anyway is anything to go by. He should um use this as a stepping stone to really announce himself to the welterweight division and get a win, and that should be a nice simple straightforward path to the third round for Cushy Cake. Whereas I disagree with that. I think Gilbert Burns has still got enough class, still got enough in the gas tank to uh to to outpoint Morales. I can't. Yes, Morales has looked very good, specifically against Neil Magny. Um, it's only a couple of years ago Gilbert Burns also did the same thing. Oh, not same thing, was submission to knockout, but still finished Magny convincingly. And he's got that experience of fighting at the top level. He's no stranger to fighting the best that the division has to offer. Maybe slowing down a little bit. Just that I can't deny that. Yes, he is a little bit, but he's not quite the prime Gilbert Burns. But he's still, I think, should be enough to take Michael Morales. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. Who knows? What do I know? We'll find out tomorrow night. But you have got the bookmakers' favourite, so um, Cushy Cake should go through. Maybe I just need to give a bit more respect to these prospects. I don't know, but anyway, we'll find out tomorrow. All will be revealed tomorrow. Right. Well, it's technically today actually, because early hours of the morning. But I mean, I'm assuming most of the audience here are American, or well, no, not actually necessarily, because we've got two Germans in Uber industry, haven't we? You've got Baron von Rattus, of course, a fellow Brit. And to be honest, I don't really know where all you're from actually, so I'm just assuming American by default, really. I stereotype a lot like that. I'm awful at that. I'm very judgmental. Just make assumptions, not negative ones. Just I assume it, with these kinds of things, it's whenever on the internet, I kind of assume I'm talking to an American unless proved otherwise. Anyway, before I say something that gets myself cancelled from YouTube, and I mean that not, I think that would take some doing with a video that gets like 5 views each video, but I wouldn't put it past myself. Right. Anyway, Piggy Bank is next to take the wheel on. Let's see who Piggy Bank is paired with, and he also gets Michael Morales. The wheel seems to have done quite a few of these in a row, actually. As we had Luana Pinheiro twice in a row, Michael Morales twice in a row now. Gabe Green came up twice in a row early. Yeah, it seems to be a bit of a pattern going on with the wheel here. Well, he's just getting lazy and just like, fuck it, do it again. Repeat that last spin. Can't be asked if the wheel just not giving any fucks tonight, but he has given Piggy Bank the bookie's favourite for the main event. Um, so yeah, not really much I can add to that other than if he's going to win, I'd say it's probably either going to be over the either by knockout, which I can't see Gilbert Burns getting caught with something. Uh, I think he's just too smart and savvy for that, and going the distance, yeah, maybe because Morales has got a few good decision wins on his record as well. But this is a 5 rounder. That's territory that Burns is much more familiar with. But if the conventional script is anything to go by, then yes, Cushy Cake and Piggy Bank should both be going through. Right, so we move on to Rigno now. Let's see who he gets matched with in the world's cruelest matchmaking game. Oh, and that's 3 times in a row. Michael Morales. What is. Right, so we've got 24 fighters, 12 fights, 24 fighters. What are the odds of one fighter coming up 3 times in a row out of 24? I've no idea. I don't know how to work something like that out, but Rigno also joins them in the Michael Morales boat. And I suppose is the main event tomorrow night, but it's maybe the Lucky Bastard game main event. I think we got more on the Gabe Green fight actually, but I think that's a 3v1 where this is a 3v none still technically. But yeah, there's definitely a lot more pressure on Michael Morales' shoulders for tomorrow night, going up against very experienced veteran in Gilbert Burns. His undefeated record on the line, chance to really make a statement in the upper echelons of the welterweight division, and of course trying to drag Cushy Cake, Piggy Bank, and Rigno through to the next round of the Lucky Bastard game, which he's probably blissfully unaware of. And to be fair, if he's blissfully unaware of the wheel's existence, he's probably a happier person for it. Let's be real. But right, let's see. Is Chat also going to get Michael Morales, or is the wheel going to mix it up a little bit? So much for a random wheel, anyway. But it's Chat. I love it. Oh, I love that. Gilbert Burns for Shats. Um, so I was just mentioning it was a 3v none. Now it becomes a 3v1 as well, with Cushy Cake, Piggy Bank, Rigno all up against Shat, um, who's got my personal favourite and who I think is got enough experience, veteran savvy experience in his toolkit to see off Morales, but seem to be in the minority thinking that Burns has got more of a chance, but we'll see. Let's see if Shat wins um that little 3v1. As much as I'd hate to see three people go out all at once like that on the same fighter, I would certainly feel vindicated in all the shit I've been chatting in this video. Um, I mean, I've been glazing Gilbert Burns' nuts enough. I want to see a bit of return. Yeah, not really anything else I can add to that fight because talked about it 4 or 5 times already, plus the intro. Um, so we move on to CN6. Let's see, is he actually going to get someone in a different fight at least? I love it. That's a fourth one now for Gabe Green. Oh dear. It's oh yeah. So that is how many's out on Gabe Green now for CN6? So we got CN6, Damien Handel, Calfoth and A all on Gabe Green. And that's now 4v1 because who had Mateus Camilo? Let's have a quick look. That was El Guapo who had Mateus Camilo. So that's now a 4v1, which I suppose pretty much confirms that as our Lucky Bastard game main event. Or unofficial one anyway. Depends. Might still have a few more thrown on the main events, those two fights competing for that coveted, yet fictitious spot of the Lucky Bastard game main event. But yeah, just to reiterate, Gabe Green 2-3 in the UFC, 2-1 in Bellator, 11-5 overall. And Camilo making his debut in the UFC with 9-2 records before that. And interestingly, Camilla's only ever lost by submission before, so maybe that's Green's best path to victory, but I think he does it over the distance in a decision win. Right. Although having said that, I think he is still the underdog, so but it's a close fight though. Right. Okay, so we are down to our last three, or well, I suppose technically last four, because one of them is, of course, our alliance, Uber Industry. We'll get to them in due course. But for now, we have Tyson Magamainov waiting in the wings to learn his fate at the hands of the very predictable Will. Um, at least it's slightly different. Anyway, Luana Pinheiro, I haven't had that for about 5 times now, but a third person joins Luana Pinheiro for against Tasha Torres or execution at the hands of not Tasha Torres, Tasha Pennington. God, got to respect the vows, haven't I? Um, but yes, Tasha Pennington, or Mrs. Pennington, or whatever you prefer. Um, yeah, I just can't really see any way Pinheiro wins this. Maybe freak injury, that's always an option, isn't it? But uh, Pennington's just been Tasha Pennington has just been at the fighting at a high level, winning at a high level. She's just a better fighter. There's just another level to Pinheiro. Right. So anyway, that means that we've got Jack Soto, KK Kombu, and Tyson Magamainov all on Pinheiro. Someone had Tasha Pennington earlier. Who was that again? Let's just slide up. That was Geneva 65, our debutant in the game. So yeah, that's another 3v1 there early on in the card. So there's three fights with a lot of people. Yeah, three fights with at least four on there. So four people on there. So it's not very well spread out across the cards, but it does mean that because there's quite one-sided, all of those fights on one side, if we get we could either I don't think it's going to be a 50-50 split with this so far. I think it's going to be we lose most of the people or we have most of the people going through because of that. But we'll see in due course. But we've still got two more to assign fighters to. The first of them is the MMA historian, who's hoping he won't become MMA history himself. And he gets Sadiq Youssef. His fight came up, but not him. So with the wheels records for tonight, anyway, we'll take that. Uh, I mean, I personally prefer it when there's a wider mix of uh a wider mix of fighters drawn in. It just makes it a bit more interesting following it along on as you go through the card, rather than just being a little checklist and like, oh well, there, fuck it, three of them all just gone out in one go there. I like to go through like one at a time. Okay, this guy, boom, yeah, he's through, he's out, boom, um, but anyway, Sadiq Youssef, anyway. I've got him to win by decision against Marion Santos. Again, someone had Santos earlier. That was Cool Hand Puke. Um, and so, yeah, as I've mentioned, this is going to be about how well or how negatively potentially the change in weight class affects Youssef because he should be stronger going into this fight than he was at featherweight. And bearing in mind, he didn't look bad at featherweight either. He was okay. He wasn't quite title contention really, but he was a solid ranked fighter, no question about that. Um, so I suppose maybe that was the motivation to go up. Maybe he's feels I wouldn't have thought there'd be more title aspirations at lightweight, but for him, but I can't really see him challenging for the title or anything there. But it's a deeper division, but featherweight's pretty deep as well, so I suppose it's the same difference and you're not draining yourself as much, so you may as well come into the fight stronger. But then again, obviously all those guys that in lightweight already, they're cutting as well. So he's fighting stronger fighters now in turn. So we'll see how that affects him. But that for me is what we're gonna what we're gonna see out and see how that affects him. But I've gone with him for a decision. But I think he's, I'll say, good enough to beat Santos in my opinion. But um, still a close fight though. Just Santos actually the more experienced, only by wait no, yes, no, forget that. Ignore that phrase. I just couldn't do the maths. Yusuf's more experienced by one fight, but 13-4 to 15-1. Um that's Yusuf 13-4, Santos 15-1. Um but yeah, not an awful lot in it, all things considered, I suppose. Um Yeah, I think it's just again the quality that Youssef was fighting down at featherweight is just better than the opponents that Santos has had as of late. So that's another part of my reckoning for it. But anyway, we're on to our last entrant now, or entrances, as we have the Uber Industry Alliance. We had two alliances coming into this game. We had Trostradamus, who went out in the last round in the hands of Iron Kutalaba. But Uber Industry survived. Our German alliance go marching on, which is quite scary thinking about it. We'll try not to dwell on that too much. Let's just as long as they stay away from Jan Blachowicz, anyway, that's then we should be all right. Luckily, he's not on this card, so we should be fine for now. We just keep an eye on this, see how that develops. But let's see how the Uber Industry alliance gets on. We'll see who they're paired with for us start with. And yeah, it's fitting. The Uber Industry Alliance. It gets with one of my gets paired with one of my favorites, Tiago Moises. Um, and one I think, yeah, okay, sure, I'm biased, not gonna lie, but a fighter that I think's got a very good chance in this. It's a very close fight, but I do favour him um over Jared Gordon, simply because sure he's not Moises may not have been in the best of form, but as of late, but well. So actually, he did win this last fight. To be fair to him, but I mean, it's um, having said that, Dre Gordon's not been. He's been fairly inconsistent as well, hasn't he? He's a loss win, no contest, loss win. Admittedly, one of those losses was against Paddy Plimber, which he absolutely won that fight, so that doesn't really count. Um, but Thiago Moises, with his experience outside the UFC, as I mentioned, with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's not gonna. He's not a fighter you can afford to be inconsistent against. So you need to be on your top form to beat him. And yeah, I've gone with Moises for a decision. Um, wouldn't be a sort surprise. We could potentially get a submission as well, but it's it is a very close fight though. It's not an awful lot in it. It's just that extra, I suppose, extracurricular activity, I suppose you might call it, for Moises, and a nice healthy dose of personal bias. That's why I think that Thiago Moises takes this one. All right, anyway, that's enough of my rambling for tonight. That wraps up our video. We will just go through those names one more time. I won't try to do the whole spider's web of who's been drawn with who just yet, because that's given how much that has happened in this game, how many people are on two or three fighters. It's uh yeah, just scrolling up and down all the time on this sheet. So I'll just reel them off and we'll sort out the mess. We'll just see how the cards land once the dust settles a bit on this video. But we have A with Gabe Green, as is Calfoth with Gabe Green. Canhego Ruiz with Miquel Melquizael Costa. Captain Quebec with Yeda Del Valle. C. Collins 44 with Nursultan Ruziboev. Cheeseball with Jared Gordon. Cool Hand Puke with Marion Santos. Or not Marion Santos, not Marion, but Marion Santos and Cool Hand Puke are together for this round. Damien Handel 420 also with Gabe Green. Uh, El Guapo with Messias Camilo. Foghorn Sam with Connor Matthews. Geneva 65 with Tasha Pennington. Both Jack Soto and KK Kombu with Luana Pinheiro. Cushy Cake with Michael Morales, as is Piggy Bank and Rigno, all three of them Michael Morales. Um, Up against them, of course, is Shat with Gilbert Burns. Sion 6 also has Gabe Green, as well as those earlier mentioned ones. Tyson Magomedov also with Luana Pinheiro, and the MMA historian with Sadiq Youssef, and yeah, finally, Uber Industry with Thiago Moises. Um, yeah, so as I mentioned or touched upon briefly earlier, I think it's going to be one of these where because there's so many on the three fights in question, really, three most important ones, obviously Gabe Green, Michael Morales, and Luana Pinheiro. Um, their performances are going to be key. Two of them, is Gabe Green a favourite? I mean, that's a 50-50 one, really, isn't it? There's 150, one of them's a 50-50 one. One of them, the bookie's favourite, Michael Morales, should get through, and Pinheiro is just going to. I can assume the ones that have been drawn with her will be out, but um, maybe that'll sort of balance itself out a little bit, I suppose, with half of it is the three on Pinheiro going out. the ones with Morales going through. But if my prediction about Burns is right, then he'll also be joining them in the Lands of Ghost and Winds. But I think, as I said, it's going to be we're either going to have a lot of people through or we're going to have a lot of people out. It's going to be uh, another very generous round from the wheel, or it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. I can't see any in between. But anyway, best of luck to everyone who's in this game. Best of luck to all your picks and Tapology. Good luck if you got any bets on this card. And until next time, so long for now.